What's happening, beautiful people? It's Kooks and welcome to 4 tips on how you can do more. Now, before I start this video, as always, I just wanted to take this moment to say thank you to everyone who spends even a little bit of time watching any of the content that I'm putting out. So yeah, let's get into this particular video. Now, if you've seen the last post that I put up, you know that I was feeling kind of overwhelmed, and basically I've been working a lot, studying how to use ClickFunnels, waking up at 5 a.m. and doing P90X for an hour, which is a workout program. Not really had much of a social life, and I run a couple of businesses, so there's been immense pressure there, and I've really been feeling it, and I just didn't know if I was going to come out of it. Now inside, really all I wanted to do was to achieve and to succeed. I wanted to complete my training, to learn how to use this software. I wanted to carry on with my workouts and not miss a day. Obviously, I want my businesses to succeed, and I'm trying to do my best. Outside to the outside world, I'm doing it. I'm studying, I'm learning, I'm posting on my Instagram, telling everyone that I'm doing this. But really inside, I was feeling it so much. And basically it came to a moment where I just hit this massive wall. So this week just gone, we had a trade show for one of my businesses. It's a food brand called Mr. Sing's. And it was a long, 2 very long days. But essentially what happened was it just threw me off my working out and studying schedule. And before I knew it, I was like 10 hours behind on my studying. I'd missed a couple of workouts, and I was just, really starting to feel the pressure. And my schedule was messed up, and I was just overwhelmed by absolutely everything. And then I had this moment, as I mentioned in my last video, where I realized that I could actually take control of everything. I started mapping everything out, and what I then realized, now that I've kind of come out of this, is that there's so much more that I can do, and I have been doing without even realizing it. And it's only by putting myself in this pressure and actually being exposed to this type of pressure and feeling overwhelmed that I was able to grow and utilize my evenings, utilize my weekends, even time during the day that I didn't even know I was wasting. And so essentially, I learned a few things, and I've started to create a bit of a plan on how I can do so much more. And that includes being really strict on timings, making sure I focus on eating the big frog, and I'll do a video on frogs later on. But basically what that means is completing the most important and the biggest tasks first, regardless of how much you've got going on, because there's always going to be a lot going on, especially if you're trying to achieve a lot in life. And then basically map out what needs to be done over the short and long term period, because it helps you see the bigger picture of things. Now, obviously, when you start to do these types of things, the biggest pain that you're going to feel is the pain of taking action, the pain of doing something that you're not used to. For me, like I said in this video and previously, I was starting to feel really overwhelmed and struggling. But what came out of it, which was fantastic, was that I still managed to work out, still managed to get my studying done, still managed to push my business. New opportunities started to come my way. Now, I'm not saying I'm fully caught up, but I was still able to achieve all these things. But I think inside, the biggest transformation for me was that I really stopped feeling sorry for myself. And I didn't even know that I was doing it. It was only actually less than 24 hours ago that I realized I was feeling sorry for myself after feeling all of this pressure and feeling overwhelmed. And I realized that there's so much untapped potential that I've got. And like I said before, there was so much time that I was wasting, evenings and weekends. Even if it was 3 or 4 hours an evening or a weekend, it was still a lot that I was wasting. And I also realized that I want more. There's so much more that I want in life. And if I want to reach a certain level in life, I have to become and be a different person. So what I would say is to share these 4 tips with you so you can maybe implement some of these lessons in your life is, first of all, write down and recognize the time that you might be wasting in your life. So you may get home and you may not know it, but your routine could be that you make a cup of tea, sit down, and you end up watching TV for 4 or 5 hours a night. And really, that's a huge amount of wasted time. You might be waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, whereas really you could even be waking up an hour or 2 hours earlier, and that's more time that's available to you. Obviously, scrolling on Instagram. So yeah, number one, recognize wasted time in the day and on weekends. Number two is to be really, really strict on how you allocate your time. So once you've discovered this spare time, be strict on how you're going to allocate this time. So if you've managed to free up, let's say, an hour and you want to study for a new skill, make sure that that new hour that you've freed up, you strictly focus on achieving the goal that you've set out for yourself. Number three, I would say, is to work intensely, completely focused on that one thing that you want to achieve within that hour, within that half an hour, and whatever time frame that you freed up for yourself. And finally, and I didn't mention this earlier, it's massively, massively important to ensure that you build in time for yourself to rest and to have self-care, to have enjoyment and to have fun, because you will burn out, and I've burnt out. So that's the only reason I'm saying it. So to recap once again, really, really sharply, recognize wasted time in your day, be strict with how you allocate time to your goals, work intensely, and number four, make sure you rest and provide yourself with self-care. I hope this video has been helpful in some way to you. I hope you've been able to relate to it. And if you have, I'd really appreciate your comments on feedback on how I might be able to make these videos better. And if you do like what I'm going on about and have been watching my videos, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I'll see you soon.